is not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
Hello everyone, my name is Tyrone Lowe, owner of T. Lowe Video Productions, and also your host this evening. In the House of the Legends, I have somebody that's very dear and special. I mean, this guy's been around for a very long time, and I introduce you to Duane D.R.DEE Knight. Welcome to the Legends.
Thank you, sir. Pleasure to be here.
You're a legend for real. I mean, when I look at things that you've done in the past, it's like, I don't even think that we have a half an hour would even be good enough to even talk about all the things. But let's talk about 1977 when it all started for you.
Yeah. In 1977, of course, that's when DJing just started coming out in the Bronx and spread into Brooklyn. And, you know, I was just around a lot of DJs. I happened to get saved that same year. And it just turned out that around my, the DJs around me, I just took a liking to them. And since I was doing gospel music, I wanted to find out how can I do what they was doing with mainstream music, with gospel music. So what happened in my church, a group of us, there were 6 of us all together, we felt that gospel music was just on Sundays.
Right.
And during the week, the young people didn't have anything else to go to. So we decided, hey, let's get together and make some mixtapes and give it out to the young people so that during the week, they would have something to listen to.
Right.
And so that's how it started. So we got makeshift turntables and stuff like that and started making mixtape to give out to our young people. And as it turned out, people started hearing that we was mixing DJing gospel music, which was unheard of at the time. With DJs at that time, what they would do, somebody would give them an album and say, okay, play song 1,
okay,
play song 2.
Right.
And they would just play the whole song. What song you want next? Play the whole song. So when they found out that we knew gospel music and we started playing it, people started coming to us to do their different functions. So we officially got kicked, started in like 1977, 1979.
Now, we're talking about going back to like WWRL AM.
Yep.
Now, I was like in junior high school or high school when they came out, because it was an AM station.
It was an AM station.
And there was a lot of guys that would used to be on there as far as announcers and stuff. And play. I have a record that they did a long time ago, and it was like a pause record, like Super Clash or whatever it was.
Okay.
I think you might remember it. It's from a long time ago. Let's talk about that, WWRL, because that's a long time ago.
Yeah, WWRL was like one of the pioneer stations when it came to gospel music.
Okay.
Everybody knew gospel music through WWRL because, again, what they did, they played it beyond Sundays. And that was the main thing. Sunday was gospel music. Everybody played it. But then you had certain stations that would play it, like maybe during the overnight or something like that. But they were definitely pioneers in gospel music, as well later on as with mainstream music and stuff like that.
Okay, let's talk about the first gospel record pool that actually existed, because that's very. I've been in many pools, but I've never been in a gospel house record pool.
Well, basically, how that started was, again, I've started doing gospel music in '79. And of course, like we were saying before, gospel music was not as easy and as accessible as it is now. In order for you to find a good gospel record, you would have to go to a place like in the Village or Rock and Soul. You had to bring out a stack of albums this big because it says something similar to gospel music, and then you had to listen to it on the turntables in the corner, and you would come out with 1 or 2 songs. So as other people started getting into gospel music and became gospel or Christian DJs, the difficulty was getting the music from the labels, because in those days, labels were radio heavy. You had to be on radio to get any kind of music. DJs were always unknown, unground, and unfamiliar with record labels. And so at that time, a lot of DJs started saying, hey, we having trouble getting the music. We cannot get the music. And because I was on radio at the time, I was on radio since 95, and I had some connections, I started saying, hey, can I get some of the music I got some DJs out there. And they was like, DJs, prove who they are. So what happened in 1999, a friend of mine, DJ Lace in Atlanta, and another friend of mine, Sherry, she wasn't a DJ, but she knew a lot of DJs. Sherry Johnson out of Philadelphia.
Okay.
What we did, we got together and formed the Higher Ground DJ record pool. And that way, between the three of us, we all had connections in the industry. And we started soliciting music to our record pool in order to give out to the DJs. So we was like the first record pool that the record labels recognized, to be able to give out music to upcoming, we call them either Christian or gospel DJs at the time. So we got everything from jazz to calypso when that started coming out, to reggae when that started coming out, to hip hop when that started, Christian hip hop when that started coming out. All those things were like for you didn't hear those on mainstream radio.
Right.
You did not hear any of that. So what, as is the genre, DJs are very much grassroots, and we hear music before a lot of other people do it. And being in the clubs and stuff like that, we break it.
Okay.
We break it. So that's what's the same tradition for gospel music. We will hear the music first, would be played on mainstream. So we'll play it at the weddings. We'll play it at the skating parties.
Right.
We'll play it at any function that people will hire us to do.
So let's talk about the skating, the gospel skating, because you was at Empire Skating in Brooklyn, and I was a regular there.
If you was a DJ,
everybody was there.
Everybody was at Empire. Empire was the mecca.
Most definitely.
When it came to music, when it came to skating.
That was like Brooklyn's finest as far as skating.
That was the world's finest.
Exactly.
It's like Empire Roller Dome was worldwide known by people all over the world. And what happened was, again, it started out because people knew that we, as a group, the Gospel DJs, like I said, there were 6 of us, that we played gospel music. So when they started doing skating parties, instead of, again, bringing a stack of records and giving it to the DJ and say, hey, play these songs, they started hiring us because we knew the music. And then when we got to Empire and we was talking to DJ Bob and stuff like that, he saw that we knew the music, so he didn't really have to stand up there and watch us on that kind of stuff. And because
Bob was actually the resident there.
He was a resident DJ.
Exactly.
He was a resident DJ. So he kind of gave us a little more freedom when it came to doing gospel skating parties. So we was able to come and learn. I know myself, we learned from Bob's the tricks, how to spin and all that kind of stuff. And at the same time, transfer those skills over to gospel music. And so that's how Empire was really the birth for gospel skating. We did it at Empire over the years. We did it at Skate Key. We did it at Park Circle. Anywhere that hot skates, we started getting around because people saw the difference in our parties. Our skating parties was similar to skating parties. The backward skating, this fast music, and all that kind of stuff. So people started using us for that. So we're part of that history. So
talk about parties. Let's talk about the Gospel Lighthouse Christian Club that you had for 5 years. Now let's talk about that. I mean, because that's very inspirational to see a lot of Christian people get together and actually party like that.
Again, as you would find out, most of my ministry has always been grassroots.
Okay.
It hasn't been mainstream at all. And so again, because I had my ear, as you say, ear to the ground, we realized that there were people out there who used to go clubbing, like dancing, but once they got saved, they didn't want to dance to that same music. So that in other words, they wanted to dance, but they wanted to change partners.
Right.
And in essence, there was no place for them to do that. So God just put it in my spirit to actually start doing a Christian nightclub.
Okay.
There were events where you would go to maybe a hall or a church basement, and
Right.
people would sit around and they would play music and stuff like that. And that's how I started out. That's why I started. I went to a place in Staten Island, or I think it was called Living Waters,
Right.
and that's what they was doing. They was sitting around playing danceable music, but nobody was really dancing, but people was listening to it. And so in '95, God put on my heart, why don't you go into a real club and create a Christian nightclub? And that's what I did in '95. From '95 to 2000, we did in Brooklyn on Utica Avenue. It used to be the Culture Club,
Right.
and then the Omni. You know, we went there, and the gentleman was open to us, and he would give us time between sets, between sets to go there and play gospel music. And we broke a lot of artists there. We kind of started that culture of dancing.
Right.
Christians dancing which was a whole lot of taboos.
Right.
So it was, you know, we had to really educate them on the freedom that God gave us to dance. And once they had the music that uplifted the Lord, we was able to do that in a Christian nightclub atmosphere.
Let's talk about some of the nominations that you've actually occurred, you know, over the years. You know, it's a lot of them. Let's talk about a few of them.
Well, I think
Just a few of them, 'cause you got a lot of them.
it's a wonderful thing when people recognize what you do. Like
Right.
me being here today is because my good friend Paula introduced us, and she thought that I had something to say.
Yeah.
And so I think one of the first recognitions I had was when I started going to the Gospel Music Workshop of America.
Okay.
And that was founded by James Cleveland. And what it was a convention where anybody that was anybody in gospel music, choirs, radio, media, they met once a year for a convention. So once I got into radio in 1995, I started at WHCR 90.3 FM in Harlem.
Right.
So I got into radio that
And
way.
we're going to shout out to Tina.
Tina
we hope
Dixon.
that you're doing better. You know,
got you in prayer, sis.
got to get you here too. You know, you got some history as well.
Yeah, Tina.
You know, so
And so when I came there, again, gospel music industry was radio heavy. That's all they knew was radio.
Right.
So for me to bring the DJs into that scene, there was a little resistance at first because they didn't know how to handle DJs. They really didn't know. So being there a couple of years, I was able to show people
Right.
that one, we was in the same boat together. We was both promoting gospel music and what DJs brought to the table. So my first award was given to me by radio announcers as the Gospel Radio Announcer of the Year for it was called the Horizon Award for DJ or radio announcer that was upcoming less than 5 years, but they saw potential in them. So that was really one of my first key awards.
let's talk about some of your TV platforms.
TV platforms, I mean, basically anything more than TV was the newspaper stuff and the radio. That was more of my platform. Because of the things I did with gospel music, because of the record pools, because of the Gospel Lighthouse, because even being on WHCR, I didn't just play music that was regular. I mixed it.
Okay.
And so all of those brought attention to what I did because other people were not doing it.
Right.
You know, so those opened up doors for a lot of newspaper articles. I was in Emerge. I was in a lot of magazines. You know, because and one of my highest honors was being on DJ Times.
Okay.
I was on DJ Times twice. I was in '99, and last year they put me back. Did an article on me celebrating my 40th anniversary as a gospel DJ.
Okay. So we're going to take time out to take a little break.
Okay.
And we'll be right back. Y'all stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
It's not just mine, his or her house. This is our house.
My assignment, my calling is to inspire, uplift.
You have to make sure your people are partying.
All I want to do is just bring joy to the dance floor and watch people dance.
Hey, my name is T. Lowe, Tyrone Lowe, and I'm back with DJ.DEE. Let's talk about your book.
Okay, and I want to give a shout out. We gave a shout out before for Tina, but Tina, this is just for you. She hates when I do this.
Okay.
I am the original gospel DJ.
And that you are. You know, that opened doors for me too, because I do a lot of gospel house mixtapes on Mixcloud, and everybody's always asking me, "Yo, Ty, where you get them from, man?" You know, it's not like I don't want to reveal my secret, but I want to be the original too. You know what I'm saying?
DJs, you there's a part of your music collection that you share, and then there's a part that's just you. You keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
Those are your secrets.
Yeah.
Weapons that you pull out and drop it on people, then go back.
Well, you know, due to the fact that I played a lot in a lot of places, I've incorporated a lot of connections with gospel house music. And usually when I play, I'm always on the top 100s. And I thank God for that, because that's something that I really look forward to and I really admire. And,
I think one of the things you said before when we was talking, that you travel the world.
Yeah.
And being a gospel DJ, it has afforded me going to London twice.
Yeah.
And going to Bermuda once.
Right.
Because, again, gospel DJs was still new. People didn't know how to embrace it, or even how to, again, going back to the clubs, people brought me over there to dance, to do Christian events where people were dancing. And so being a gospel DJ, those are some of the things that God has blessed me to do over 40 years, believe it or not. So.
Okay. And you're a freelance photographer.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
I've been a photographer again since '95.
Okay.
When I got on radio, I did both because those are my hobbies. Music, photography was hobbies I had growing up. So I kind of studied them parallel to each other. So when I got into radio and I started going to the Gospel Music Workshop of America, we was traveling all over the nation, and I was meeting all the gospel artists that are famous. I started bringing my camera, and because I had access to the listening parties and to these famous people and stuff, I started taking pictures of them.
Right.
And that just led me to pursue that parallel entrepreneurship of DJing, radio, and photography. And after about 10 years of me shooting, God put it in my heart to create the first photography, full color photography book on gospel music, which is called Carols, a special moment in time. Before that, there was no full color photography book on gospel music.
Right.
It was black and white, and it was very text heavy, a lot of text. But my book was based on pictures. It was based on photography.
Right.
And so in 2010, I self-produced the first book on that, and I've been just doing self-books ever since.
Let's talk about you being the first DJ to actually spin on the Central Park Summer Stage. Now that's epic.
That was epic, and again, because I had connections by that time, that was almost like 2000. By that time, I did have some connections in the industry. Again, somebody recommended me. And at that time, I know it was Cameron Clark Sheard was on the stage and a couple other people. And I got the phone call that, hey, we're looking for a gospel DJ to open up for summer stage with Cameron Clark and stuff like that. So that was on it. It was Cameron Clark. There was Trinity 5-7. There was one other person. But that was a blessing to open up, to be one of the feathers that God has put in my cap to do.
And you also was nominated for the Central South Distributing Trailblazer Reach Award.
Yeah. Again, because of the work that we was doing in gospel DJ. And it wasn't so much, and it's never been about me. It's always been about opening doors for other people, getting them the tools and the music they needed to make their ministry successful.
Right.
And because I've always done that, people have always remembered me.
Yeah.
It comes from the record pool, comes from the club scene. Getting out there, meeting people and say, hey, there's a whole bunch of other guys like me.
Right.
Who are doing phenomenal work in clubs and parties in parks,
Right.
roller skating that you guys are not familiar with.
Right.
And they need the music too.
Okay.
And they're promoting your artists. So that's what it's always been about.
And in 1999, you hosted a gospel Grammy parties
Yeah.
in Los Angeles and in Los Angeles.
And again, that goes.
So
again,
how did it feel to do that? I mean, really, I mean,
it's
how was the atmosphere?
to me, it was phenomenal because, again, God was just showing me spots where gospel music was needed.
Right.
So I've always admired the Grammys and stuff like that, and you always hear about the different parties,
Exactly.
after parties, but you never heard about a gospel music party. And we were able to secure some sponsors and go out to L.A., and I also was able to find DJ Scott Blackwell, who started off on New York radio.
Right.
I think it was Hot 103 at the time.
Okay.
And he went, and really he was one of the first DJs who thought of remixing music for Christians to dance to. DJ Scott Blackwell. So in my pursuit to find music that was danceable that I can play when I was doing a Christian nightclub, I ran across him. And he had a label called In Soul Music.
Okay.
And they produced strictly danceable music for Christians. That was their thing.
Wow.
And so when I went to L.A., I was able to connect with him and have him spend at that party. But again, it was wonderful to do it. But like with most things that I do, that God puts on my spirit to do, I would love to have mainstream recognition of bringing it in.
Right.
Not spotlighting me, but say, hey, let's do a gospel party connected to the Grammys.
Right.
And let's bring this guy in, and he'll bring everybody else in. So it'll be an official party. That's what I really want, to have official connections to a lot of the big events out there that's strictly gospel, like the Gospel Super Bowl. They do it every year connected to the Super Bowl.
Right.
And they have a show with gospel artists and football players who are Christians. They sing in the choir and stuff like that. I just want that same connection to bring the skill set of DJs to whatever venue, because it's different.
Okay.
We have a different ear, we have a different way of spinning, and we have a different way of promoting the music, and that's something that DJs are known for.
Right. How does it feel to know Kirk Franklin? I mean, that's epic. I mean, I've never really got a chance to really meet him, but how does it feel?
It feels like friendship.
Okay.
Like this week, Dietrich Haddon was in New York City doing this CD release party, and I went there, and as soon as he saw me, he said, hey, it was a Doc, because everybody knows me as Doc. And so it's an honor to me to be able to know many of the artists that are in gospel music. Kirk, Donald Lawrence, like I said, Dietrich Haddon, Stanley Brown. These guys, they're known for gospel music, and it's just an honor to be Cameron Clark, the Clark sisters. I've met the Clark sisters. I met Walter Hawkins, Aaron Hawkins. Tremaine, who was also had club hits.
Right, exactly.
Tremaine, that kind of stuff.
Right,
so
that's right.
It's always been a pleasure to meet anybody that's doing anything with gospel music, and for them to call me their friend, and for vice versa, it's an honor, man.
For the upcoming artists and people that's actually trying to elevate themselves in the gospel field, what suggestions would you give them?
Well, as far as DJs, I would definitely say stay close to the cuff. Because of the vast genres of music that's out there, like we was listening to Afro-Central beats when we came in, it's so easy to gravitate towards great music. But when it comes to gospel music, it has to be word-based.
Right, okay.
It has to be word-based. You have to play music that edifies the Lord, that talks about the good news of the Bible, and that is biblically based. Because that's what edifies when you play it. So one of the reasons why people love house music, because house music has a spiritual connection.
Right, okay.
It's a spiritual connection. When you playing music, some people might not realize it, but you're as we call it, it's a warfare.
Okay.
It's a warfare. That's why people can play a song and makes you feel good because it connects to your spirit.
Right.
So as a gospel DJ, you need to play those songs that connect to Christian spirit to make them feel better, to make them edify the Lord and that kind of stuff. So a lot of times I listen to some sets and they have Afro beats, they have this music, and they're great music. But see, you got to be careful with gospel music. It has to edify the Lord, and it has to cater to the spirit of the person.
Okay.
Any music that you play caters to the spirit of the person listening.
Right.
And that's why you have to understand what you're doing when you're playing music.
Yes, I understand that.
You know, and that was one of the challenges that I had in the beginning when I used to go to like rock and soul looking for music. There was a lot of songs that had Christian titles.
Right.
But when you play that music, oh no, it was not edifying at all.
That's like trying to put a gospel beat and dealing with James Brown. It just doesn't work. So let's tell the viewers how can they contact you and things of that nature.
Basically, for DJing and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm on WHCR radio in Harlem. I'm also the Sunday programming for WFMK radio with Roberto.
Shout out to Roberto.
Shout out to my nephew Dirty Fingers.
Yes.
He's the owner of that.
And he was on this show.
Yeah, I've heard. So I'm following good people like himself, DJ Broadway and Paula. So I'm the Sunday programming for WFMK radio all day. So, but the best way to catch me right now or contact me is to email, and that's damrd@aol.com. Again, that's damrd@aol.com. You can leave me an email there, and I will get back to you.
It's a pleasure to have you on my show,
Oh, it's a pleasure, Tyrone. I
And,
appreciate it, man.
I'm going to come up there to the WHR.
The
I'm going to come up there, and I've been offered a few times. It's just that my schedule hasn't allowed me to.
See, my show comes on Monday mornings at 1 o'clock. So I'm on from 1 to 4. So it's like, you know, New York never sleeps.
Right.
So even at that time, a lot of people might not be, I'm sleeping. Yeah, but somebody's not. And for the past 25 years, I've been able to bring music up there.
Right.
So you can come to my show if you
Oh,
run
yeah,
late
most
someplace.
definitely. Well, I'm going to hit all Gyra's up there.
I'm about to say, you can hit Tina's show.
Tina asked me to come up there before, but I was
House of
unable
Harlem,
to.
yeah.
And
Dynamite show.
I've been up there. The last time I was up there, last summer with Aaron Prince.
Yeah.
When he was actually...
He's a listener.
When
to
he was
WHR.
actually introducing the new track and stuff.
Yeah,
And,
Aaron's been there, yeah.
But like I said, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Yes, sir.
And
Pleasure.
we'll talk more in general off camera. And I thank you guys for viewing in. And this has been another T. Lowe Video Productions. And stay tuned for another episode. DJ Tyrone Lowe.